Hail, hail. Good evening, folks, and welcome along to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Slightly later than our usual 8 o'clock kickoff tonight. Thanks to Stephen for pushing it back half an hour. Just back from a laddies football match. So, we're a little bit later than normal tonight, but welcome along to all the usual viewers and commenters and subscribers. Coming up in the show tonight, we'll be looking back at our match against Norwich at the weekend, kind of touching on our full pre-season tour, and of course paying tribute on the 25th anniversary of Henrik Larsson's signing. We'll maybe touch upon the great man's legacy at Celtic. And to discuss all that and more, I'm joined by our usual captain of the show, Stephen. We'll swap chairs tonight. You're a guest this evening. How are you?
I'm fine, mate. Looking forward to this one. As you said, they talk about Henrik Larsson as well. It's going to be a good podcast. And also, again, there is people in the comments already. Egyptian King, Paul Dyatt, Kevin 14, Kenny McCardle, Williams in, Kaiser's in as well. So great to have you along too.
Welcome along, guys. Always good to see you and get involved in the chat. Stephen will be bringing up all the comments and stuff tonight as well. And not only that, the other half of the famous deadly duo on Endless Celts, Stephen and Franco are reunited. I feel like I'm caught in the middle of a big Celtic loving between you two. How you doing, Franco?
I'm doing good, Anthony. Doing good. Just obviously got to see the game at the weekend, courtesy of yourself giving me your tickets and stuff. My Rangers supporting daughter, 4-year-old, to the game, and that she's coming round. She wanted to buy a scarf, and she did shout Norwich a couple of times, but we're progress. It's progress.
That's it, son. Once she sees the bright lights of the big our arena, there's only one place. I'm sure she'll be back at Celtic Park more than once in the next wee while. I'm glad he's enjoyed the day out. The Hearts top demoted again. You're always going to get it, Stephen, when that one comes up. Just before we move on to the Norwich game and we discuss the legacy of Henrik Larsson at Celtic, wee bit of transfer news today. I'm maybe going to do a classic Stephen and pronounce the guy's names wrong, but we've signed a young centre half / defensive midfielder on a permanent deal, believe it or not, for West Ham. His name's Justin. It's either Osagi or Osagi. I'm not strictly sure. I've not listened to the news yet to find out the correct pronunciation. It's been a bit of a crazy day, but Stephen, that's a young prospect in the door. We know you like when Celtic sign youth players. We're probably going to sell them in 3 years' time, but glad to have another body in the door.
I mean, it's all for future planners. It's probably going to be primarily for the B team, and McManus and O'Day will figure that player out and see if he's cut for the first team. And it's interesting to see he's like the same position as Lawwell, the defender who got a chance during pre-season. So I don't know if that means he's going to move on to maybe a championship club or a lower kind of level SPL club just to get minutes in his legs and a low move, and then potentially see him move up to the first team next year. But all in all, I mean, when you're signing prospects from down in England, and they look down on us as a backwater league, so it's great to get one of their talents come to us for the time being instead of one of ours jumping ship.
That's it. There's been a few going the other way in recent times, Franco. So getting someone up, and what I've read so far, he's very highly rated as well. Do you see that being the sort of, as Stephen says, a sort of prospect sign? I mean, no one's expecting him to break into, the back, the defence or into the midfield anytime soon, but potentially one for the future.
Potentially, we'll never know. Well, I say we'll never know. We'll know maybe 3 years down the line if it's got to be one for the future. But I think it's long term. It's good to see. It's obvious you're hoping Ange's had an influence on the signing, because so get the B team playing like the first team, similar style of play and stuff. So hopefully that progression, the path to the first team that
very true.
that pathway to the first team hopefully is made a wee bit easier and stuff like that. And just if Ange's signing players for the B team, because I think it was one of the things he said when he came in early doors, that we really need to start looking at the structure of the youth set up and things and try and make it easier and get them playing the same way as how the first team playing. I imagine many top clubs will do it, but ask me in about 3 years' time, Anthony, because I think of about 2 months' time we'll have forgot about the boys, sadly.
I think on the same token, Anthony, to be fair, that Jeremy Frimpong, no one expected him to burst onto the scene when he first signed for us. So you never know. This fella could have something about him in two to 3 months' time. Someone could be injured. He could fill in. It happens in weird circumstances sometimes. But as you said,
Franny's a great example, mate.
Yes, we'll give it
true. Stranger things have happened, mate. Absolutely. But yeah, anyway, welcome to the club, Justin. And here's hoping he goes on to make a name for himself in the green and white hoops. See a few more evening posts coming in. Welcome along to all the guys. And right, well, let's get started with some of the main topics then. Frank, I'll come to yourself first, since you are able to give us a first-hand account of the action from Saturday. I was too busy sitting out my big brother's back garden getting absolutely melted for his birthday celebrations. But fellow accounts, decent last run out before the real action starts on Saturday against Norwich.
I thought it was another sort of a step up in class. Norwich looked better than Blackburn. I thought that you can see they're obviously an ex APL team in that they do like to play that. Todd Cantwell, is it Cantwell you say his name?
Oh, he's a good player.
He's obviously kind of rated him a wee bit on the telly, but seeing him firsthand, he's a real player. But I think Celtic again just passed the ball great. It was kind of perfect team for Celtic, because they obviously like to press high, play and nice wee short passes. But so the game wasn't open, but there was plenty of spaces, plenty of movement. So I think it was just the perfect test for us just to finish off the pre-season. It was good to see. Obviously in the second half, I think it was like a full quota changes. I think it was 11 players. Did we actually? I can't remember if Joe Hart got changed over. Honestly, can't remember if he got changed, but it was 10 or 11 anyway. Every outfield player got changed, and sometimes you see a wee bit of drop off, but obviously there wasn't a great drop off. But it was good to see. I think. Obviously, we'll touch on it later, but I think that'll be close, if not the starting lineup for Aberdeen open day. But it was a good test. It seems to be a good way we've done pre-season. The class has sort of stepped up each game and stuff, so it was a good way to end it.
Nice one. Well, Stephen, I'm going to have to obviously come to yourself, because I know there'll be one thing you were praising that you'll be thanking the Lord for. We kept a clean sheet in pre-season. Do you feel a lot more calmer now with the real action just around the corner as you were on Friday night?
I think what Franny said was bang on. Like, I mean, Norwich were a step up in class. So look, as you said, better than Blackburn. It was good to see the likes of Pookie back at Celtic Park, where he kind of failed to make his name, but I was down to management and styles of play and things like that. But again, I thought we played well. Joe Hart on that byline on the halfway line most times now, it's given me a heart attack. But if Postecoglou sees it like that, that's how he sees it. And I think when you're coming towards the end of the pre-season, you have to start getting results in your favour. I know we're a bit sticky before, like losing 2 goals from stilly possessions, but you have to put that down to changes. I know off-the-cuff reactions from myself sometimes get lost in translation of what I'm actually trying to say. But in regards, it's heartening that we kept a clean sheet, especially without Starfelt. And I know we'll probably touch upon Jens and players like that who've come in and things, but it was great to see. I thought that they coped well. And they had some quality players, like Todd Cantwell. That's one player I've always watched and thought he's a cracker. He can make the step up to a bigger team. They've got that fellow the same. Sutton was talking about him like for 12, 13 million pounds. He didn't quite make it in the Premier League for them, but he looked good against us. And just players who would give us a real test. And I think in terms of the actual contest itself, I think Paul nails it. Much more like a friendly, not as intense. So you got to see patterns of play a bit more and how Celtic will shape up. And all in all, a clean sheet, a win, and a paradise. Love it.
It's all good. I think one of the things that I was reading that post-match reports, Franco, was the Norwich City manager, Dean Smith. He was really praiseworthy, Ange Postecoglou, and our pressing system and the way that they were trying to play the game. I mean, he waxed lyrical so much that even the mainstream press had to report it and actually give us some decent headlines, which is it doesn't happen every day. But Dean Smith, very intelligent football manager as well. Bodes well for the season ahead.
It does. It's a great. Like I'd said the other week when I was last on the podcast, like pre-season, it's a hard because you can't judge too much on pre-season because obviously our squad is night and day compared to what it was this time last season. Result-wise, and I think performance-wise, we didn't have a great pre-season, but we still went on to win the league. But you can see the way Ange obviously sets his team out to play how he wants to play going forward. It is playing that high intensity football, I think it's interesting. I don't know if Ange Postecoglou had any say on who we played, but I thought the standard opposition was telling. It was almost like the European games we would maybe have, like the qualifiers. It was that kind of team. So it's just good prep. It all bodes well. Like undefeated as well. I think it was obviously 2 wins and the rest draws, but it was good. Everybody got good minutes in the leg, and the new boys look no bad captures as well.
I think the way you said about the scenario about playing these teams, I think Postecoglou said himself one of his first press conferences in pre-season that he wanted to build that intensity, feeling like we're playing in Europe, going away to Vienna, Lega Warsaw, them intimidating atmosphere. So again, I think it bodes well for the season. You referenced our Dean Smith saying that. I see comments from English Premier League managers. I couldn't give a shit because we shouldn't be milking the teats asking for praise. We should be our own club or stand on our own 2 feet. I don't care what Dean Smith says, to be honest. Yes, he's a great manager and all in his own respect, but about Celtic, I don't care if he says we're the best team in the world. We're Celtic Football Club and we play like that, and that's Postecoglou.
Oh well, I'm for that. That was a no bad question, but there you go.
There you go. It was very much a returning volley of a reply, but there you go. Touch on the goals. I like that just the 2 goals that we scored. The first one, more than a hint of offside. We have to agree, but I thought it was a great wee but instinctive turn from Maeda to put it in the net. There will always be the sort of Dennis Bergkamp against Newcastle. Did he mean it or did he not? But certainly for the replays that I've seen, it looked very much, Stephen, like it was meant, and they all count. We'll take it.
100%. You're right. Like when you say that wee bit of offside, because I don't know if it was like a debate I've had of Hanley's toe, because him and Morelli went for it. So I mean, VAR obviously wasn't in practice then, and the Norwich City players getting on like they lost the World Cup. I mean, run up the referee and all, but again, the whip in from Mihailovic and that take from Maeda was fantastic. It's a bit like, remember Dembele done the backheel finish, and Maeda just took away. I didn't expect him to do something like that because usually his first touch can be a bit skew-whiff, but he absolutely smashed it in. And I just want to point to the comments as well. There's people, Kenny McCardle's here again, Alistair Jack. They're all the hot topic here is Jens. There's people comparing him to Van Dijk, but we'll get on to that later, I'm sure. And then the likes of Reo Hatate is getting mentioned as well, and it's just one of them things. Like so many players and so many positives, and we're in a great space. Like if you look at last season when we were in pre-season, it was like, here we go again. And as you said, but Patsy was still won the league in that, but Postecoglou's built this, and the praise that man deserves is incredible. And like moving on, going forward, and just I'm so excited to see what we're going to do this season. I'm buzzing.
Certainly, you're looking very, very chirpy for a Monday night, Stephen. It's always good to see you in a happy mood. But Franco, for the second goal as well, I felt it was great footwork for David Turnbull. He sort of latched onto a poor pass from the Norwich City player and turned one way, then the other. It was great footwork, and then putting that sort of shot low into the far corner. You'd had a good view of it from where you were sitting.
I did, Anthony. It was good. It was just sort of a high press again in the second half, even after all the changes. But it was also like a bad Giakoumakis and Turnbull sort of doing that press in a wee triangle, and it forces error, and Giakoumakis pounces on it and just plays into Turnbull, and it was a calm, composed, just shifted it to the side and side-footed into the bottom corner. It was a really, really good finish for Turnbull, who I think it reminded a lot of folk how good a player he actually is. And I mean, I didn't want to lose him, but when the sort of 10, 12 million pound was getting bandied about for him, obviously it's rumours, we don't know how true it is. Aye, no, I totally agree. I was just going to say, like the 10, 12 million pound, I would have potentially took it, but I think not just off the back of, well, maybe just off the back of that goal a wee bit, it reminded me that guys actually has a really, really good player. And if I appreciate 10 to 12 million is good money, but if we really got to recoup that sort of player, and it's a Scottish player, you'll like seeing Scottish players in the team doing well. So, I hope he stays. As I said, the rumours, they've really died down. Nothing ever seemed to be in them, but I think a really, really smart finish with Turnbull, composed finish. I think it reminded a lot of folk, myself a bit included, that the boys actually a decent player.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Stephen, staying with sort of David Turnbull, I think Franco's sort of hit the nail on the head there about the fact that he's just reminded a few guys just how good a player he is. For me, he's brought so much different levels to his game. Even for this time last year, when he broke into the team eventually and under Lenny, obviously in the COVID season when he was one of the few bright lights, but he did sort of fade away, I felt. And then when about this time last season, he sort of came back into the team again, I felt he was looking a little bit lightweight, especially when we lost at Ibrox. He was one of the. It almost felt like the game got away from him. But I have to say, and up until he got injured in the cup final, and upon his return, he's just kept reminding everyone that he's got a big part to play. And I think if he can continue this kind of form into the start of the season, there's every chance that he could be featuring more often than not.
Yeah, 100% agree. Before I say mine, I mean, the comments are going mad for him. Egyptian King, Turnbull is definitely playing with more confidence. Kevin 14, another member of the channel, by the way, thanks for that. I always said when Turnbull got in the team, he would never be out of it. He rates him so highly. Kenny McCarroll going as far back, watching his comeback story at Motherwell. He is. I totally agree with what you're saying, because when you looked at him in that season, in the COVID season, we had nothing to cling on to. And funny enough, Sorrow was one of them bright sparks as well. And we're all like, yes, this guy's the defensive midfielder, he's the Kante and all this here. But Turnbull's kept it, and I 100% agree. He tailed off, and that was probably to be expected because there was a lot of pressure on him at that time, and he was the only one carrying the team, scoring goals, taking responsibility, and helping the team out in that type of environment. But when since Postecoglou's come in, bar his injury, he's been good up. His levels have been good up. He takes the ball in spaces, you'd be like, well, what are you doing? He gets away with it in tight corners. He can pass it. Maybe the only thing lacking speed. I'm big in speed, you know that. But if all these players are playing at the top of their levels, like he's going to push Hatate. Hatate's going to push him. O'Reilly and him are going to be fighting for number 10. So these guys have to be on it in training, because Postecoglou always says he picks players and training performances, not what's going on previously. So he needs to be bang on it every week. And then, just for example, if Turnbull doesn't start and he comes in, he scores a goal, he'll always contribute to the team. And I'm so glad these transfer rumours have went away, because we need to keep him and as many good midfielders as we can, because he's an absolute baller. And that goal against Norwich, I mean, the footwork inside the box, just calm, composed, bang, bottom left corner, simple as that. He barely even celebrated because he was like, easy.
I like it. He always seems to have hundreds of time on the ball, I feel. Like, he never seems to worry when he's on the ball, and he always just seems to feel like he's got a lot of time and he has got it in him to control the pace of a game.
Yeah, he does, and it's quite rare for a Scottish player. I know that sounds a bit condescending, but there's not many, even in this current decent wee patch of forum that the national team are in. You can maybe argue Stuart Armstrong, but he's a different kind of player. But I do agree, absolutely, Franco. He always looks like he doesn't panic on the ball, which is definitely a great attribute to have. But yeah, like you say, fingers crossed, he features a lot for us this season and keeps all those detractors and or potential suitors in England at arm's length. But just to round off on the Norwich performance, Stephen, one other player, we have quickly mentioned him there, but I want to go back because it was, by all accounts, a standout man of the match performance. He's probably been the outfield player of the pre-season tour so far. I'm talking about Reo Hatate. We've said it since he came in. We talked about it a little bit on Friday night. He just seems to be getting back to that, showing that kind of form that he did when he first came in. He seems to have benefited from having a bit of a break over the summer, and he looks raring to go.
Oh, he's incredible. Like, he is. See how silky he is at the ball. He uses his physique to get by players. He can turn in tight spaces. He can run as well. He's got great burst of speed, and he can score a good goal. We all know that. I think that one of the things I love is the fact he done them blogs and stuff in Japan. He does these monthly, weekly things telling them how the journey's going, and the papers, the usual, misquote him saying he's unsettled, he's homesick, he wants to go back home. But again, that's not what he was saying. He was saying when he gets a full pre-season, when he gets his rest, when he gets his routine with Postecoglou in the team, it's coming to fruition. I know it's pre-season. I know we can't get too carried away, but he's made Blackburn look easy. He's made Norwich look easy. And the level of this player, I mean, Dan Orwood said it when we had him on for one of our Sunday Live episodes. He's the guy with the highest ceiling in terms of transfer value, sell-ons and things, and you can see it. He has it all. I mean, he played left back numerous times for his previous club. He can play the number 8 role, number 10 role, probably deep line playmaker as well. He's just fantastic. His range of passing is sublime. And that pass he done for Mieta and for the goal against Legia was cracking. He just whipped it, and just a touch from Mieta took it in. That's all needed. If he keeps going, I think William alluded to it. If it's Calmac, Hatate, and O'Reilly, that is frightening. And then you've got Turnbull and all that come into that. That's frightening.
That's it. I mean, he did it. He's turned on the style pretty much all pre-season, Franco. But like, as we touched on there, it was quite a special performance by all accounts on Saturday. Are you quite eager to see him do something similar against the likes of a Real Madrid or a Liverpool? Fingers crossed.
Like on Saturday, I was really impressed with him. I tried to keep it. You obviously at the game and even watch it, you notice players that are really on it. So I sort of kind of focused a wee bit on him on Saturday. And he was just every time he was taking the ball in the half turn, we drop his shoulder. I don't think it got away from his man every time. And again, similar like Turnbull was taking it in tight spots and then just going away and just starting sort of attacks and breaking away. And like Stephen was saying, he's playing big diagonals out to Jota and stuff, which I think we'll need to. I think it spells last season teams kind of, I wouldn't say they sussed us out, but I think we maybe moved it slightly slower in games and weren't getting the ball out wide quicker. And that's what we need to do, is just miss a few players out. It doesn't need to take 3 passes to get it to Hatate or McGregor and get it out. But I think as long as he doesn't take the mouth guard out, I think that's maybe just giving him some extra powers in there. I don't know if there's maybe stuff in that. I really didn't ken. But as Calmac, I was getting worried when Calmac ditched the face mask, but I think we're in good hands with the gum shield.
And by the way, I don't know why the guys at the Celtic marketing didn't just say, listen, Calmac, go and keep wearing the mask, keep wearing the gum shield, Rio, and we'll just sell hundreds of replicas in the superstore. It's a money-making idea. But yeah, I think that's... Sean Flanagan brought up a good point there, Stephen, just regarding the squad rotation, and, he's just sort of anxious that we need to keep up. We play at such a high intensity, this pressing game, but perhaps with a lot of the rotation, the potential issue is that you maybe have that drop off in intensity. But I think we kind of touched on that on Friday night as well, that we seem to be having, it's a similar kind of setup with all the players at the moment as to what Klopp has with his Liverpool team. There's a lot of, just with the sheer intensity they play at and the number of games they play, that they can't have the same settled 11 every week. Those days are long gone, especially down south. But I think that all the Liverpool players do know if somebody has to come in, then they know that they've got to be raring to go. They've got to be match fit. And I think, is it something you see that Ange's trying to include up here?
I think it's clear to see he's trying to build a squad capable of rotating, and because we were playing Champions League Cup games and the league as well, so you need that rotation. I think some points previously it's kind of hampered us a wee bit in terms of pressing on, and we've seen the injuries at the first part of last season. Hamstrings, calves were going. We were bringing in, like says Stephen Wells, albeit he's had a good pre-season, but you know what I'm trying to get at. So squad rotation is good. I mean, Jens, who came in, the new fella, the centre back, got a wee cameo, and by all accounts he looked good. He looked like he covered the ground well. He could play a pass with purpose, which was great to see. And he stuck to what he said in his press conference. He loves finding the game and being creative, and you can kind of tell that about him. Aaron Moy coming into it, someone I'm still not keen on, to be honest. Look, miles of it, but again, that's a fitness issue in terms of for him. But I mean, what I think the rotation thing, Liverpool do it so well. They bring in players and they know what they need to do. They still rely on like some Milner, who's like 35, 36. He can come in and do a job. So if we can kind of replicate that, obviously not to that scale before anyone goes blah blah blah, he's comparing himself to Liverpool. But if we can get a nice thing going where we can drop a few players out without it unsettling the team, and you're replacing it with the same quality, then it's a win-win. Do you know what I mean? That's why I still think there's a couple of issues we need to sort out in the transfer window to keep that kind of fluidity going throughout the team. But I think you make a great point. That kind of squad rotation is going to be important, especially up towards the World Cup.
Absolutely. We've still got the Winter World Cup's going to throw up a whole headache of issues. I mean, and as gutted as we are that Scotland aren't going, maybe there is that little selfish part, you go, well, at least we can wrap the captain up in cotton wool for a month, before the second half of the season. But of course, we would much rather he was there strutting his stuff for Scotland. But you never know. Maybe next time. But Frank, just before we move on, actually, I should have said I wanted to bring that up just with the two new boys. I know they started on the bench, but both featured in the second half. What was your sort of early thoughts on them? Did they settle in okay?
I was actually quite, again, pre-season, so you're cautious about how you judge them. But I thought Jens. I'll give you a message after this. We'll sort of out. That's my uncle. Jens, I thought he settled into the match quite quickly and looked good. They all I think like you do when we're not really got to know guys that we're going for, like guys like Jens, like you said on Friday. Anthony, I was summer. Never seen the guy play a minute of football. So you kind of jump on. You jump on the YouTube, but get the clips for there, get any information you can, and then watching like YouTube stuff, and then reading some stuff like the French media had slated him, said they can't pass and things like that, but it seemed to pass all right and win his aerial duels, win his battles all right in Saturday. So it was a good debut for the guy and positive signs going forward. Moy, I think, never done anything amazing, but never done anything rubbish. He always was shown for the ball, but I think he's maybe behind a good few weeks behind a lot of folk in his sort of pre-season. I think he's going to need a few weeks to get up to the pace, but he played it like a proper pre-season friend. I think it's the game slowed down a wee bit when the ball got to him, but I don't really remember him giving the ball away. He kept it kind of simple and kept himself in the game. That he had a wee chance where he could have shot, but I think he just kept the play going. But I think we'll see the benefits of Moy maybe 2-3 weeks into the season and stuff. I think it looked like his mark sharpness wasn't quite there yet, but big Jens, he looks he's some size of a boy, man, and if has that, is this working outside, man? Just working outside out in the sun.
Catching some rays, Daniel.
But big Jens looked the ball.
I think the way you said about the French media, I read all that. I think I said it in the last podcast, that we're kind of giving them a hard time. But it brings me back to the whole like Shane Duffy argument. Certain players suit different teams. Like Duffy is a cracking box defender. He would defend for his life, where Jens might be a bit more comfortable on the ball. He wouldn't have had time at Lorient because their bile counts fighting relegation in the French league. So you never know. This move of Celtic might kind of revive his career, and then we'll see him probably be up there challenging for first choice with Starfelt and Carter Vickers.
Here's hoping. That's what it's all about. Competition for places. Nobody should have their position deemed as safe at a club as big as ours. And all these guys competing for a place in the starting 11. The end product to that can only be more success for us on the pitch. So long may that continue, Stephen. So, like we say, it was a sort of pretty much a routine run out, 2-0 victory against Norwich. We're not going to make a big deal of it. We're not one of these clubs that think we're world beaters after you win a friendly match. We'll leave that up for the small clubs in the city. And we'll move on. And just to sort of recap, Franco, just with regards to Stephen sort of touched on it sort of a few minutes ago, but just this, get your thoughts on that's pre-season is now sort of over. It's in the rear view mirror. What's been your thoughts on what you've seen so far? Are you feeling optimistic for the season ahead?
I feel very optimistic. Feeling a lot more confident I was last season going into the campaign anyway, Anthony. But I think we can be happy with pre-season. No real serious injuries from it. Obviously, Starfelt got injured before it, but everybody's looking sharp. Nobody really looks like they're obviously Moy, but a wee bit different for him. I've kind of excluded him because he's just in the door, but everybody looks sharp and really looking like they're progressing well. So I'm very optimistic going at the start of the season. Looking at we'll get a nice wee run and a nice campaign ahead. All the players they'll look up for it.
I would totally agree. Totally agree. It just for where this time a year ago where it was sort of you could see little shoots of the recovery, but obviously it was a massive. We were right at the start of this rebuild, and we didn't think it could possibly have went as good as it has. But yeah, I mean, apart from a few sloppy goals, Stephen, which we do have to say, some of the goals we have lost are preventable. But in terms of going forward, in terms of the intensity that we're playing at, even this early in the year, we're looking in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, me and my granddad were watching the Norwich game, and we were talking to each other, and we were like, this pre-season feels so long. And we clicked because we no European qualifiers, you know what I mean, mixed in there with your games against Norwich and Blackburn. And I can't wait to the start of competitive games. But I think you're right. Like, pre-season's always going to be patchy. But again, for us, we'll have to be kind of hypocritical and picking points that, as you said, goals that are preventable. And also, obviously, when we smash teams apart, like the first game against that amateur club, they must still have a headache thinking about that match. But all in all, it was great. It was good to see other players coming in, the young players getting a chance, like Fada. Featured in a couple of games. He looked decent. Lowell looked good as well. So Summers was in, Anderson was in from the B team, and albeit the keeper Olawami didn't get a look in, but apparently he's meant to be decent. So it's all good for up and coming guys as well. If they stick at it and play well for the B team this year, Postecoglou's made it known that he's going to give people a chance. You know what I mean? And I think you look at it, and William said as well, massively deep squad compared to last season. I totally agree. But again, I will go back to what I think. I think we do need a couple more options. I know Postecoglou said they're actively in the market, and I hope he is, and hope they do get a couple more through the door, because by all reports, Mickey Johnson is meant to be leaving on loan to Standard Liège with Ronnie Delia. He's after him. Stephen Wilson's been subject to a loan move by Udinese, or
Toulouse.
I think it was Toulouse. Sorry, it was
Udinese wanted him in this.
Yeah. So Toulouse are after him. So we don't know the kind of what's going on there. So there's two players out the door. You need to get other squad options in there. So again, all signs are pointing good going forward for this Aberdeen game coming up and raising the league flag at Paradises. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Vance, just touching on the two potential players going out. Mikey Johnson, we've said on here a few times that he's injury plague almost. You wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. But do you think that perhaps a loan move for a year under somebody he has played with before, Ronnie Deila, so somebody he can trust? I think it might even have been under Ronnie that he sort of first broke into the team, or at least we would have been coming through the sort of youth development before breaking in under Brendan. Yeah. So do you think that perhaps that could potentially just sometimes a change can be as good as a rest, and sort of a new environment for him? He's been at the club since year zero. Perhaps it might still be that there could be a future for him there if he goes away and clears his head a little bit.
I suppose I think a lot of us would have probably said that this season was last chance loan, but I think probably said that a few seasons regarding him. But the fact that he's going away in loan maybe gives him that extra year. Go away, see what you can do. And normally I like the idea of us loaning players to SPL teams, because that's where we want to see them playing. That's the level we'll be playing at each week. But I think this type of move for a guy like Mikey Johnson, who has had his critics, a lot as like myself included, we will slate him, maybe just being in a different country, away at the road, a manager he knows, is probably got to be great for him. Just look at Jack Henry. He went away, wasn't he getting the best of time at Celtic, then went away and turned into an £8 million player. So maybe Mikey Johnson can do something similar. If he goes away, has a great campaign, ideally he comes back and then he's great for Celtic. But failing that, you maybe make a wee bit of coin at him. But I like to say, Anthony, it's especially when it's one of your own homegrown players. His injury record hasn't been great. I don't know if he suffers with a confidence thing. You look back in that Lennon thing where Lennon pretty much just told me fuck off and get down the tunnel. Did that help him out much? Maybe not, but I think it's a brave decision for Mikey Johnson, because he'll not be daft either. He knows time's getting on for him to make his sell. I don't know. It potentially, if he was trying to break through at Celtic this season and not going out on loan, I would say there's no chance. Going away on loan, getting game time, getting confidence, you just never know. he could come back and because there's no doubt he is a good player. When he first came through, there is a good football player in there. It's just not coming in, and I don't know if it is a confidence thing, injury thing. It's I obviously we all hope the move works out for him because either way it can benefit Celtic in the long run.
That's it, and I think Kaiser makes a good point there as well, Stephen. It might well be the case that, you know, look at what's happened with Jota. You know, he's obviously come out his shell. I think Jota had perhaps a similar sort of experience at Benfica, maybe not with injuries, but, you know, he was highly rated by a lot of their supporters, but he just couldn't break into the side. And he's came away, and that's been, you know, we very much benefited from that. And, you know, he's permanently on the books now. It might not happen out with Mikey Johnson or Stephen Welsh for that matter. I mean, you know, Stephen's been a little bit more cemented in the team in the COVID season, but he's fell down the pecking order with the likes of Starfelt and CCV and now Jens coming in as well. Do you think a loan move could work out for Stephen Welsh as well?
I mean, just to point out, Alistair Jack comes in here saying they're not away yet, 100%. But rumours were were strong last night. More on Mikey Johnson's loan move away to Standard Liège. But touching on Mikey first, I think Franny's right. Like when he first broke in, he really excited me. He was playing well. He took players on for fun, tight spaces again. He worked really well in it, and he scored some cracking goals. One against Sarajevo in the Champions League qualifying rounds. He smashed it in from like 30 yards. It was a cracking goal, and he was a part of the team last season against Hibs, who arguably played the best half of football and Postecoglou's first season, that 3-0 win at Easter Road. So there is potential in there, but again, it's the injuries, it's the consistent run he never gets, and when he builds up, he twigs something, or his ankle goes, or his calf gives in, and he's out for 2 or 3 weeks. And sometimes, I remember Maloney used to be injured quite a lot, and people used to say it was more mentally. And you kind of read that being like, what are you talking about here? They'll obviously know their bodies, but sometimes it could be like they're afraid to go in for a challenge, they're afraid to strike a ball, they're afraid to take players on. So if Mikey Johnson goes to Belgium, the Standards Edge, which funny enough is becoming like Celtic's feeder league, isn't it? Belgium, Ostend, Ostende, and Standard Edge. But if he goes there and does well, fair play to him. He gets a permanent move. I just think his time's gone at Celtic, and there's too many ifs and buts about him, and no one's ever going to have a clear opinion because it's 50-50. Yes, you want him to do well, but again, do you keep him on the books because you feel sorry for him because he's injured, or just let him go and pursue a career elsewhere and hopefully it works out for him? In terms of Stephen Welsh, like again, a guy who's featured a lot in pre-season alongside Vickers, it'd be a strange one at this moment if they let him go. I mean, that just proves the confidence that Postecoglou will have in the likes of Jens to step up in there for Welsh if he was let go, because James Forrest said it the Awesome Friday, obviously, that Jens was the first choice before Starfelt or Carter Vickers, so there might be some like gravity in that type of thing. And just the point to the comments as well, Kevin 14, MJ is probably now third choice winger and only get a sniff for injuries, 100%. Paul Dadson, Ans wants to keep Welsh, don't see him moving. I agree with that one. It's a slightly left field type. Mm-hmm. Joe Finlay, Stephen Welsh is not good enough. Sorry, I know on a roll, but tough decisions being made. There's different opinions. And then Alistair Jack, Johnson never a Celtic player, get rid. So, I mean, I was on the lines of thinking with Franny there, maybe loan him to an SPL club, like an Aberdeen, a Hibs or something, to see what he's got. But again, sometimes you just need away from the ship behind you and move on and go forward. And if he crafts a career for himself, I'm speaking like he's away. But again, if it goes well, it goes well. And I wish him nothing but the best because he is an exciting player.
Absolutely, and whatever will be with where those guys are concerned. And like you say, there's lots of different opinions on both coming through tonight, which just shows you that perhaps the time has come just even for a change of scenery, whether that be temporary or permanent. But it maybe be just for the short term, at least, that their football careers may be away from Celtic Park. So just to sort of, I know you guys are going to be doing a sort of big start of the season build up on Friday, so I'll leave that for you guys on Friday night. But if there's one player that I think can, it's almost a universal opinion of nothing but complete and utter adoration and adulation. It's a certain dreadlocked Swede who first walked through the gates of Celtic Park 25 years ago today, Franco. Yeah. His name, of course, the King of Kings, Henrik Larsson. I don't have all the facts and figures in front of me, but I think it's 242 goals he scored for Celtic, which is a phenomenal feat. Of course, the 200th coming and 201st coming in our narrow defeat in the UEFA Cup final in 2003. But he just done it at every level, didn't he? He was, for me, he was world class. There's no other way to describe him. And anyone that doubted him, he went away and did it at Barcelona and Manchester United afterwards. But any time he gets asked, he'll always say it. And the years of his career that he enjoyed the most was when he was doing the business in Glasgow's East End. I was 10 years old when he joined. So I sort of can remember him signing. I remember all his 7 seasons at Celtic, especially the one horrific one when he broke his leg, and then you thought, is he ever going to be the same player? And he came back and won the European Golden Boot, which is just shows you the player he was. 242 and 315. Alistair, Mr. Wikipedia. It's always good when he's on. You can always rely on him. So I was right with the 242. I think that was I'm pretty close there. That was one I could remember. But just a phenomenal player. He was just. But we were blessed to have him, weren't we?
Oh, I mean, you do think about like what a player he actually was. Like you said, genuinely was a world class player, and thank God Wim Jansen knew about that wee clause in his contract that could get him out for like the 750 grand, because God knows what you would have actually had to pay for him if you didn't know about that. I appreciate he wasn't really playing much at Feyenoord, but I think they'd have still commanded a decent enough fee. What's this? I probably will. Bang on. Like obviously in our time, if anybody like best player to play for Celtic in our lifetime, all our other answers are wrong. Like, there's nobody that compares to Larsson. He was the king for a reason. And funny you mentioned the UEFA Cup goals. My Uncle Kevin that was on the chat. I was actually at that game with him. Well, we didn't actually. We went to Seville. Me, my aunt and uncle and stuff, and what an experience that was, seeing the goals, like his first goal, that's a genuine world-class header, the way he just headers it back across goal and stuff, and for his size to actually, like, the amount of headers he must have scored was ridiculous, but he obviously gave us that iconic moment in the 6-2 game where he chips Kloss and you get that commentary. There's so many good moments you could talk about Larsson. I was of a similar age. I was 12-year-old. So when you seen that on Twitter the day and things like that, and Ryan had shared it on the group chat saying about it was 25 years. I think it was Ryan that said it was 25 years. I was like, really did start feeling old. I was like, I can remember him coming in. You can remember all his seasons. Fell out with my mum when he broke his leg, because obviously my mum was a wee bit older. I can't remember ever seeing at that young age somebody in television breaking their leg playing football, and I was telling my mum, I was calling her all sorts, I think, telling her he's not broke his leg, stop being so stupid and that, and I had a moment. It was Larsson. He was a hero. He was immortal. Nothing bad could happen to Larsson. It was one of them, because I think up until then, I don't think he'd really been injured for Celtic. Maybe he was out for a week or 2 weeks, but nothing serious. So it was just, we could actually talk all day about Larsson. By the way, that after that as well, and then scoring the 2 goals against Dundee United as well. And I was actually at that game with my dad, and the emotion at that game as well was just, you knew what was happening. It was he left. He was a true man, and like even that Blackburn goal just random came in my head, how he dinked Brad Friedel and stuff, and his interview after that, I think he actually swore in his interview as well. It was just, he gave us his best years. No many players of that stature will leave on a free and nobody have a bad word to say about it. He could have left. I'd be interested to know how many times he had the chance to leave Celtic, if there was genuine interest for him to leave, because I think there was rumours Newcastle wanted him before they got Shearer and things like that. So it'd have been interesting to see how serious they were in that. But the guy gave us his best years, went to Barcelona, set up 2 goals in the Champions League final, went to Man United, got got a Premier League medal, but Chris Boyd's better than him, isn't he?
Oh my God.
Oh, well, that's the thing, Stephen. That was going to be my point I was coming to you. I mean, he, a few weeks ago, he was voted the greatest sort of SPFL player of all time in the modern era. As if there was actually a debate to be had about that. It's, you know, was there really a contest here? Do you know what I mean? It's just, it really is bizarre. But yeah, needless to say, he came out on top just like he did most of the time on the pitch as well. But you know, I know but you can tell by the looks on the camera, Stephen, that you've got a few less years on the planet than what myself and Franco do. Your youthful good looks. So I know you were a little bit younger when he signed on. But you must have some sort of memories of your childhood, the Henrik strutting his stuff in the green and white.
I think I was 3 years old when he signed. Like, so I mean, in terms of when he first came. And the dreadlocks and all that, you have to look back in that videos and things. But like 2000 onwards, I was watching every game. My granddad was kind of stuck to his hip, going to wherever we could to watch Celtic play. And when Larsson was on the TV, you're just glued to him. It was the mark of the man. Do you know what I mean? There's a few people making great points in the comments saying it wasn't just how he played; it was how he carried himself. And you made a great point in terms of it'd be interesting to see how many clubs are after him. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Every kit I wore thing he done on BT Sport.
Oh, by the way, his end speech, I don't know if it was at the end where he was like, they asked him about his favourite kit. He was like, it doesn't matter. I know what I mean to this club and that. And that's all
I mean, he mentioned that he had a few conversations with Alex Ferguson during his time around about 2003. They were after him all sorts of money, but he just wanted to stay at Celtic because he was getting good pay. He said that. He was open and he admitted that. He was hailed as a legend, an icon, which he is, and he's the king of kings. He's absolutely incredible. And I made a funny comment today in our group chat. Lee's post about Larsson on the Celtic Twitter page, leading up to Jordan Larsson, maybe walking through the doors. But
do you know, there was a little bit of me, Stephen, that thought just maybe, you never know. But listen,
I think as well. I think as well. Sorry, Anthony. I mean, a bit of controversy, but he made my word XI and our special we done, and I don't back down from it. You made a great point. He left us in his 30s. He went to United. People looked up to him there. Rooney even said it in the dressing room when he played. It was just, you heard, like, you have goosebumps listening to the fella, and it was a great influence on people. He went to Barcelona, and Henri said in that famous interview, it wasn't Eto'o, it wasn't Xavi, it was Henrik Larsson come on as a substitute. 2 passes, he won them the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? And he finally got his hands in European silverware. And you're even emotional watching him doing that when he's not even wearing the green and white. The guy was incredible. And see this crap about Chris Boyd breaking his goal scoring record in the SPFL? Get out of the bin, honestly. Like, the guy just stood in the box like a big fat mess and does, he's nowhere near Henrik Larsson. Nobody is. In my opinion, in my lifetime watching Celtic, he's the greatest player I've ever seen in the hoops. He's absolutely incredible. And in the comments, and at this point to them as well, Frank Brennan, 242 goals in 315 games, completely says it all. He's a Celtic's third highest goal scorer of all time and always will be. I'm in the age where I witness 3 kings, Jenky, Dalglish and Larsson, will never be repeated. I would love to see that.
Not a bad trio there, Kenny boy.
What the man?
I love the Jenky and Larsson video together. Our 2 legendary number 7s. Alistair Jack, Man United twice.
Yeah, that's right.
Kevin Larsson and Viduka could potentially been as good as anyone we ever had. He broke his leg and it was over too soon, the partnership. So again, like, you have to, the guy, he's incredible. He makes me smile every time I speak about him. He's the king of kings and he just belongs at Celtic Park. He's like, we're going to make a podcast special about him one day.
We might drop him a wee message on Instagram, see if he could potentially come on with us for a wee hour. Although I don't think we'd all start to get the words out, to be fair, just being in his presence, even remotely. But William, no, you're absolutely bang on, Stephen.
That's a brilliant point, actually.
Aye. Yeah,
Wally's absolutely spot on as well. I mean, he's by far and away the greatest player of our generation, and you know, as some of the comments are saying, he was right up there with some of the other greats as well. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think Chris Boyd could win Chris Boyd of the month. Do you know what I mean? To try and mention him in the same breath.
But it was the absolute shambles of that argument. They brought Larsson into that same. Like, Larsson was a golden boot winner in the SPL. Like, fuck off. Like, this fuck. Fuck off, honestly.
Well, I think that's probably the best way to leave it tonight, boys. We'll keep it short and sweet because I know you guys have got the big season build up on Friday. I'm sorry I can't make it along for the start of the season build up, but I'm out for my work's leaving night on Friday. But yeah, Henrik, 25 years since he signed on the dotted line, and he's still making us smile just chatting about him today. And Frank, just before we finish, I know he says he left on a free, but of course he did bank us a sizable chunk of money a couple of years later, of course, with his performance for Barcelona in the Champions League, because Barcelona winning it that night meant that we didn't have to play any qualifiers the following season, so we were straight into the Champions League. So I think back then it was worth maybe 15-20 million. So yeah, even after he left, he was still doing the business for us. So maybe if he can just have another wee word in his laddie's ear to say, "Come on, son, there's only one place you want to go," that would perhaps be the circle complete. But no, as I say, I'll leave it there tonight, guys. As I say, we're on a little bit later tonight, and I know there'll probably be a few folk wanting to get straight over to the Bhoys bus if they haven't jumped already. But no, have you enjoyed this little recap of the pre-season tour tonight, Stephen?
Yeah, it's been great crack, Anthony. Well done. Good job hosting it as well, mate. Cracking.
No, thank you. And yourself, Franco?
It's been good. Buzzing for the start of the season, but I'll need to try and catch it in a pub up in Dunn because I'm away my family holiday come Friday, so I'll be looking for a pub in Dunn to try and watch the game. So if anybody knows, hit me up and tell me where to go and watch it up north.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you have a great holiday, mate, and we'll see you back on here soon. Stephen, can I just get you to confirm what's the schedule for Friday night?
We're back at 8 o'clock. We're back live.
back at usual time, but we've not got a clue who's going to be on. You're on the spot there, my man. Sorry.
You put me on the spot, big man. I'll let people know during the week.
There'll be folk on at 8 o'clock, so turn up, wear your drink, and the show will go on one way or the other. No, thanks, guys. I appreciate that, and thanks again to everyone for listening in, commenting, subscribing, becoming a member. And like you say, absolutely, Kevin. Everyone, if you haven't already, hit that little subscribe button. That's us. I think we're way past the 1,000 mark now, so it's a great feeling. And we always seem to be getting lots of positive comments. So thank you all again for that. And enjoy Friday night. Next time I'm on, the season will be underway. So good luck to the boys for the show on Friday night. And Stephen, Captain, I will leave you in your capable hands to sign us off with your usual ending statement. Cheers, guys.
No worries, man. I can also say, as you said, people in the comments, thanks for coming along here. It's been great, people getting involved. And take advantage of that member option, 99p a month. Get that wee emoji and that. Just get on it if you can, sir. A bit of crack. And then hit that wee subscribe button as well. We're over 1,000. We appreciate the support from everybody. We'll be back again on Friday night at 8 o'clock. I was about to say 8:30, but that confused me. 8 o'clock. But until then, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.